Jennifer Alessi here. We are going to be doing a GI series with barium on our horse cat right here, Flicka. Some indications for completing a barium study is if the animal is constipated, if there's a possible foreign body or suspected obstruction, also if there's excessive vomiting or diarrhea. Some contraindications is going to be if there is suspected or confirmed perforation, if there's food in the stomach or the intestinal system, or if the animal has been administered any drugs that would alter the motility. What we're going to be doing is taking our orogastric tube. We'll measure from the mouth to the stomach, and then we'll place a tape around the tube to verify that we don't perforate the stomach lining, and then we'll also palpate the neck and the stomach as well to make sure the tube's been inserted properly. And then we'll administer the barium after we take some scout radiographs. We're going to take a ventral dorsal and a lateral scout radiograph to verify that there's no contents in the stomach, and that it'll also help us change our technique if we need to, raise or lower the KVP or MAS, depending on how the radiographs look out to be. If there is any contents in the intestines, we can do an enema if needed, or if it's not an emergency situation, then we can hold off for a few hours until everything passes through the system. As soon as the scout radiographs are taken and everything looks good, we'll go ahead and administer the barium, and then immediately take a lateral NVD radiograph because the barium should have reached the stomach right away. 15 minutes after administration, we're going to take another ventral dorsal and right lateral radiograph because the barium should have then hit the duodenum. 30 minutes from administration, we'll take another VD and right lateral because then the jejunum should be filled. At about an hour or 60 minutes in a canine, we should have the study should be completed. We'll do another another VD, another lat. If it's not, then every hour after that, we'll continue to take radiographs for that whole complete study to work out. For feline, it should only take about an hour for that whole contrast study to be completed. So we're going to go ahead and start with our right lateral radiograph. I'm going to go ahead and put the animal in right lateral recumbency, and I'm going to measure at the 13th rib. Okay, it's about so, and I have 9 centimeters. So I'm consulting with my technique chart. So an abdomen at 9 centimeters is going to be at a KVP of 61 and an MAS of 8. So, and then I'm going to collimate at my T7 vertebrae and my coxofemoral joint as well to make sure I have that whole abdominal cavity in there. And collimation looks good. I'm going to put on my lead gloves. I have my dosimeter, my lead apron, and my thyroid shield as well. And I'm going to mark get my right marker out there. Okay, then I'm going to take a look at those radiographs again, make sure that all the stomach contents look clear. And it looks pretty good. I can see my little modified lungs right there, and then her empty stomach. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and set up for the ventral dorsal and put the animal in a trough as well. actual barium study, the animal would be awake. Ideally, because sedation then could slow down the GI motility. Then I'm making sure I have my marker. I'm going to measure at that 13th rib again, but this time I'll measure ventral dorsally. And then I have about 10 on that. So 10 for abdomen, again is 62 kVp and 8 MAS. And I'm going to column 8 and make sure I get those coxofemoral joints in, center over that 13th rib, and also get that T9, T7 vertebrae in there. And I've got my right marker. Okay. And ideally the limbs, the forelimb and hind limbs will be also extended. And that one looks a little dark, so I may lower my MAS a bit just to get a better exposure there with that lightness. And then we're going to be set to administer the barium. I'm going to put my animal back in sternal recumbency. Or actually lateral so I can measure. So I'm just going to lay the tube over where that stomach should be. Bend it over. So it looks like it's about here. I'm going to add my tape. So that way I know I'm not going to go too far and perforate. Alright, and I do have my tray of supplies. So I have my barium, my lubricant, and my syringe. And the doctor has ordered 120 cc's of barium, so that's how much I'll be administering. Alright. I'm going to place my animal in sternal recumbency. I'm going to use the roll of tape as a gag to keep the mouth open and to help guide in that tube for me. So I'm going to pass it on in there. Alright, and I've hit my mark. And I palpate the stomach, and it appears to have entered where it needed to go. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and administer the barium and see what happens. And as the barium administration can be a little messy, I am using some paper towels. And ideally, to make sure that it's not in the trachea, there'd be gagging right now, absolutely, because it'd be aspirating. But I could put some water in there just a little bit to make sure that it's not in the trachea. But as I palpated around the throat, I could feel that it was all anywhere it needed to be. And ideally, I would have lubed that orogastric tube as well. sure to wipe that up. And as I take out that orogastric tube, I am gonna kink it so I don't get any barium coming out. And I'm just gonna be very careful and gentle as I remove that from the stomach and that gag as well. Alright, and then I'm gonna take that lateral abdomen. My MAS was at 8 before, I'm gonna lower that to 4, just cut that in half. And then I'm gonna keep that KVP at the 61 because it was 10 centimeters. Yep. And make sure everything's good there. And collimating again to that coxofemoral joint and T7, and I'm making sure I've got my marker in there. And put on the gloves and take my radiograph. Okay. And you can see that the barium has reached the stomach, so we do have a successful shot there. And then I'm just going to take a ventral dorsal just to verify if there's anything else that I need to see. Okay. And I'm using the trough for better positioning and to make sure everything stays straight because I want the spine in line. And on that ventral dorsal, I am making sure that I hit that femoral joint. And again, centering on that 13th vertebrae and collimating to reach the T7 to T9 vertebrae and the capsifemoral joint. And my KVP and MAS can stay at 61 and 4. Excellent, still in that stomach, looking good.